Oh, okay. It's time. I slept very poorly last night. And I have no idea what I want to do during the live. So I'm just coming to terms with it. I'll just be figuring it out on the fly. But I hope everybody's doing well. It feels like it's been so long. It's been like 3 weeks. And it's weird to think because before this year, I like literally never went live. But because I've been doing it so much this year, now it feels weird that I haven't done it in 3 weeks. But I had some friends visiting, which was so much fun. But the days were packed. I didn't read like hardly anything during that time. And then I've been getting back into it recently, which has been really great. Hi, Amelia. Yay, glad you're here. Oh, it's okay. I think I'm like waking up more now. It's happening. And I know like starting this is going to help me. But yeah, I stayed up too late. It's my own fault. And then do you ever have those mornings where you wake up and like you think that you've missed something? So like it's literally like you're flat and then you just go like that. That's what I did this morning. For no reason. For absolutely no reason. But I don't know. I don't know if it's like a lingering dream that does that, but just like some mornings that's just how you wake up. At least some mornings that's how I wake up. Morning. Hi, Sarah. Morning-ish. Yeah, I guess it's more morning here, and even still, it's already 9, and I've been up for 2 hours, so it doesn't even really feel like morning anymore. But to be fair, I did just like lay still for like an hour, like on my bed back there. Okay, so how's everybody's reading been going? My reading for July has been not off to a great start. I mean, great in the terms of what I've read. What I've read, I've really enjoyed, but I've read so little. But what was I going to say? Oh, I think that okay, so I've been talking for a while about like how all I want to read is fantasy. I think that I'm finally coming to the end of that, and then it's just like I feel like I'm in this weird zone in between like having something that I'm like hyper fixating on and having nothing else that I want to. And so now I feel like the world has opened up in terms of possibilities for what I want to read. And by the world, I mean like my monthly, the TBR I set for this month. It feels like so many options and like so many different options. And I'm like, all of them I'm a little bit excited about, but none of them is like that one definitely next. And so that's where I'm struggling. I did continue in the Kite Runners. This is technically the book that I'm focusing on now. I finished my last like focus book yesterday morning, which was the 3rd book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. Amazing. Loved it. Love the setting of that one. So much fun. But then I picked back up the Kite Runner because I started reading that in our last live stream, which was for TBR Spin, because that's my TBR Spin book. And I made it to a little over a third of the way through, and I'm enjoying it, but I just like don't want to read it while I'm live. I just don't think that that's the move for me personally and emotionally. So yeah, that's not happening during live, but that's really technically my main focus, and I think that's why I'm also unsure where I want to go. Okay, let me catch up on comments and then I'll keep talking. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry that you're feeling sick. Hopefully this is a nice thing to have going while you're sick, even if you don't feel quite up to like actually reading. I always think like when I'm sick, that's the time when I'm gonna get all my reading done. Like, what else am I gonna do? I'm just lying in bed. And then I'm lying there and I'm like, I just need something that distracts my brain, and reading is not gonna distract it enough. And then I end up just like turning on something and falling asleep. I just DNF'd a book and it feels so good. I'm always protecting me from falling into a reading slump. Yes. Yeah. That's important. That's an important rule, an important life lesson. DNF when you feel like it, because yeah, you don't want to be in a reading slump and then what, you spent your time reading a book that you weren't really into and then not reading after that. That's no fun. Oh, good. Reading's going good for you. Currently reading A Psalm for the Wild, but loving it so far. built and loving it so far. I'm gonna assume that's a typo, I think. But I've heard good things about Some of the Wild. I feel like everybody that's read it really loves it. Is that Becky Chambers? Right? I'm torn on whether or not I want to try it because I read all of the series. What was that series called? It's the one that starts with the long way to something an angry planet. That is a very long title. But the first book I liked, and then after that I was always kind of just like, it's okay. I just don't think it's like super for me. So then I've struggled with the idea of picking something else up by her or by them. Hello, good morning. I will be reading Barrier Bones in the Midnight Soil. It seems to be everybody's new fave, but so far it's not going anywhere. I need to read that. That is one that I need to read. That was possibly going to be my pick for last month's like new published book, but I ended up reading My Friends instead by Frederick Bachman. Because if I have a physical copy of a book, that's always going to win. And I had the ARC for both, but I had the physical copy of My Friends and I have the e-ARC of Bury Our Bones. So that one. But I do plan on reading that somewhat soon, ideally, because I need to be a good NetGalley person. That's my goal, is to be a good NetGalley reviewer. I was on vacation this week, but never picked up a single book. I made plans, never read. That's what happens. That's what happens to me all the time. Sometimes like a vacation, and there's no way to tell beforehand, I'm convinced. But sometimes a vacation, it's like you go on it and you read so much. And then sometimes it's like you don't pick up a book at all. And I don't know if it's like the people you go with. Maybe that's it. Like I feel like the vacations that I go on when I go with people that also read a lot, then like that tends to be better. But I feel like I don't know, it kind of feels like a coin toss. Reading too many books at once. I hope to make some good progress today. You and me both. I fixed it a little bit. I finished Tom Lake, so that helped. But that was really more because I got returned to the library and then I got it back. But I do feel like I'm in the middle of a lot of books. I don't even want to think about that. I'm just not going to think about it. That'll be fine. Reading Misbehaving at the Crossroads by Honorée Fanone Jeffers. I feel like that's going to be a completely different pronunciation than I tried. I will not be surprised to see this on next year's Women's Prize for Nonfiction. Ooh, I haven't even heard of that. I assumed by the title that it was fiction, but I have the first Dungeon Crawler Carl, but have not picked it up. Did you enjoy? Yes, especially the first one. I don't know if the first or the third is my favorite. I think this just like getting into the world of it all is so much fun in the first book. It's so readable. Like you'll want to just keep reading. So I'm in my sci-fi reading group, which is now, I keep calling it the sci-fi reading group because I'm so used to calling it that. But now this is our first like time reading fantasy together, and we're doing the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. And typically in the past, we've said like this many chapters we'll read each day. And we usually keep that up for about like a week or two. And then everybody, not Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. She goes rogue and like just finishes the book and then tells us how great it is. And then we all finish the book really fast. But this time it was like, for Dungeon Crawler Carl, at first it was like, okay, we need to add more chapters a day because we're all too into this. And then it was like, you know what? Everyone for themselves, just read at your own pace, and everybody just like tore through it. And then so for June we were supposed to read just one Dungeon Crawler Carl, and we've now read 3 of the books. So I think that's a good check for how we're feeling about it. I already own book 4. I'm gonna try not to. I think it'll be a good like thing to take breaks with, or maybe to read like at night when I'm reading books for the Booker Prize next month. But I also feel like it's just going to totally pull my attention. I don't know. That's what I'm telling myself. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm trying not to read it, the 4th one this month. We'll see. Ooh, I'm on a mini mystery kick. Yeah, I haven't felt drawn to mysteries lately. Although I did get The Housemaid in my little library, which I've heard good things about, even though I haven't heard great things about the rest of that series, so I think I might just be planning on reading The Housemaid, but I would like to at least read that one. I also found 2 Ali Hazelwoods in my little library. I was so excited. There's nothing better than finding like books that you would have actually paid money for in your little library. My reading is so slow this month. Same. It's starting to pick up. I'm getting there. I read it Kite Runner on vacation last year and definitely cried in public. What was the book that I did that for? It was on vacation too. Oh, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I cried in public at this like nice beachy restaurant thing with friends who were also reading. We're all reading, and I was just crying. I've also cried on planes while reading quite a few times. I feel like I'm starting to think planes make me emotional because of how easily I cry at books. But maybe it's just because I'm like locked in. Because like, what else are you gonna do? Started the tuberculosis book you talked about, in your recent video with a friend, and it's a ride. I'm learning so much, but it's so hard to read. It makes me so angry at the world and humankind. Yeah. I think that is a very accurate way to sum up the feelings of that book. It's like, it's like cool to like learn so much, but then also it's like, how are we as a society messing up this bad and in so many different ways? I've been reading a lot. Everything has been very thought-provoking, but nothing has jumped out at me that I love. Anxious for my next 5-star. I feel like I've had a lot of like 5 stars that have been like not thought-provoking 5 stars, but have been just like fast-paced, super fun. I'm having a great time reading it. Like I'm pretty sure I'm having a tough time. I think that Dungeon Crawler Carl was another 5-star for me, the third one. So the first one and the third one were 5s. This is a huge spoiler for my for my next wrap-up video. And the second one was I think a 4-star is what I landed on. But I haven't gotten one that's been like majorly, not to say I feel like Dungeon Crawler Carl does touch on a lot of societal like issues, but doing it by looking at like from an alien species type thing instead of like our world. But I feel like it says a lot about our world. So I do think it has that element, but I haven't read like a literary fiction 5-star in a minute, and I'm missing that. The closest thing I had was a nonfiction, which was still like that was very thought provoking, and that was my first 5-star of this year, which was A Little Devil in America. But I'm looking forward to, and I think that that's what the Booker Prize is so good for. I'm pretty positive I'm gonna find a 5-star within the Booker dozen, so I'm looking forward to that. Haven't picked it up since the last time I picked it up on stream. Infinite Jest is not going. It's there. It's there. I'm gonna try again at some point. I have no motivation right now to pick it up, and I feel like that's okay. And I'm still telling myself if I don't read it by the end of the year, it's like it's just not happening. But I'm gonna give myself the time because I don't feel like it right now. I just finished Hotel World by Ali Smith, trying to pick out my next read. I have no idea what to choose next. Yep. Like I have a TBR for this month, and even still, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So I'm torn between The Spanish Love Deception because I had such a fun time reading the first chapter, and I did read a little bit more last night, and it did give me like a bit of that sense of like, oh yeah, I did really want to read this. But also I oddly kind of feel like picking up the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym, and the title's so long. But that story, that novel, it's the longest thing in this book, by Edgar Allan Poe, which I'm kind of surprised at that I feel like doing that one. So almost just because that I want to, like if I'm feeling any extra motivation in this moment to read that one, I almost feel like I should because I feel like Spanish Love Deception I could probably read at any point right now and feel happy about. I don't know. I might try to start the Arthur Pym story see how it goes. And if I'm just not feeling it or not getting into it or having a hard time concentrating, I'll switch over to Spanish Love Deception. Wild Build. Oh, okay. Yes, Becky Chambers. Got it. Psalm of the Wild Build. Okay. Why did I think it was just Psalm of the Wild? I DNF Psalm of the Wild Bill. I think I'm alone on this one. I kind of feel like I would maybe be the same way. I don't know. But maybe that's just because of how I felt about the other Becky Chambers that I read. I bailed on All the Water in the World by Aaron Caffel. It did nothing for me, and I didn't like the writing either. Yeah, I haven't even heard of it. So I have no opinion. But yeah, I think writing is the number one thing that gets me to DNF. Especially when I was doing like the try a chapter, I was like really honing in on the writing and how I liked. I'm also reading My Friends on my Kindle. I just started it yesterday. How did you like that one? I liked it. It's not my favorite Fredrik Backman, but I also, part of me doesn't know if I'm like past my era of like loving Fredrik Backman books. If that makes sense. Like I just don't feel the strong connections that I think that I used to feel with his books. And I have a feeling that even if I went back and read the other books that I've loved by him, I would also feel the same way. And I was really trying to figure out like what that feeling is. Cause I still really like his books. And I'm not saying that I didn't like that book. I think that I gave it like 4 stars. Like it's definitely still like on the high end of how I feel about a book. But for a while there, I felt like every book by him, I was giving like 4.5 to 5 stars. So I was really trying to like figure this out in my own brain, like how I was feeling. And I think that like I really love descriptions in books so much, and especially of characters, which is not something that he really does. He doesn't really describe his characters. He describes like their essence almost, rather than their any like physical attributes or anything like that, to the point of like you don't know if somebody's taller than somebody else in the story, which is not like necessary. And I know sounds like a weird thing to like be missing in a book, like wanting to know the physical descriptions, but I think I just love visualizing books so much that I miss that a little bit when I'm reading his books. But I think that that is a big win for a lot of other people. Like I have a friend that loves Fredrik Backman, and like the fact that that is a part of his stories makes it like a million times better. The fact that he doesn't like really describe his characters. So I think that there's something in there that I'm just not connecting with as much as I used to. Or maybe I've like narrowed down so much what I really love in books, and I'm not seeing that there. So there's like a disconnect. But that being said, I still really liked it. I liked the story. I loved the ending. And so I think like overall, I would recommend it to most people, especially if you like Fredrik Backman already. I'm about 80% into Blood Over Bright Haven and scared to see where the ending goes. Ooh. Oh, you're right. You're right in like the sweet spot then. I'm working on Death of the Author. I really want to read that. That's on my wish list. I need to not buy more books. Speaking of buying more books, I did buy a new book. I did pick up Left Hand of Darkness. And when I picked it up, it was at my local bookstore. And the cashier said, oh, this book is so good. And I was like, yes, when the cashier of a bookstore tells you that the book is good, it's going to be good. So now I'm very excited. I have 100 pages left in a German book I have to finish for book club tomorrow. So that's my first goal of these sprints. Nice. How does Dungeon Crawler Carl change much between books? Are they kind of different from each other? That is a good question. Yeah, I think that so far they differentiate themselves very well in my mind. I think because the setting, I'm trying to say this in a way that like won't spoil anything for people that haven't started the series. The setting in it changes each time, and I think that adds a lot. And then also other people get just like more, you get to learn more and more about them rather than like our 2 main characters that are focused on in the first book. So I do, and especially like the third book felt so much like its own book, which I really loved. And it already kind of seems like the next one will, because like they, they like to kind of set up just a little bit at the end of the book, like what's going to be in the next one, like just to tease you a little bit. And it was enough to be like, oh yeah, like I'm very excited about that one. And I can see how that would also be like a fully encompassed thing. But then it does a good job of like calling forward to things that are going to happen at some point in the future, presumably. That I'm also like very excited to see what happens, but I know we're like several books away. It's the Wimbledon men's finals starting now. So I have to put you on my laptop and the TV on mute so I can do both, plus reading, of course. Love it. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched Wimbledon in forever. I grew up playing tennis and I used to like really like watch it, and I don't really anymore. My reading has been all over the place. My ADHD is coming through. Yeah. I feel like I've really been like this every month, where I think like it's going to be a bad reading month, and then I read so much and then like it stops again. Morning, Michael. I finished Oh Pioneers. Oh, nice. And really enjoyed it and started my July spin book last night. Yay. I know. I feel like this is the furthest into a month I've gotten without finishing my spin book, actually. Yes, Wimbledon. I hope it's as exciting as RG. No, I can't figure out what that would be. Hi, Jen. Reading Family by Lori Frankel and doing a puzzle. Oh, the best two activities to do together. I love listening to an audiobook and doing a puzzle. Morning, reading The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Ooh, let me know what you think, because that is still on my list. That is an arc that I got and I have not read. Oops. I've been in such a slump for the past month and a half, and I'm just starting to come out of it now. Oh, I'm glad you're coming out of it. Now I need to get through Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil before it's due back at the library. That's a big one. But hopefully, yeah, like this, it's just going to encourage you to continue coming out of the reading slump. Almost all of my 5 stars this year have been nonfiction. Interesting. I do think that when I love a nonfiction, I love a nonfiction. Like it's usually like 3 stars or 5 stars, and there's like no in between. I found a book in a charity shop lately I was looking for everywhere for quite a while and couldn't find Best Day. Yes, that is the best feeling. They had 2 Ursula K. Le Guin books at my bookstore, and one of them was the one I was going to read. I was so excited. I just finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Nice. How did you like it? I still need to read that one. I've still only read the one trilogy by V.E. Schwab, but they are some of my favorite books, so I really should read more. More like Definite Jest. Yeah, in that it will end. I will finish it or unhaul it by the end of 2025. Its days are numbered. And Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, which is great. Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard good things about that one too. Just picked up The Devils by Joe Abercrombie and A Dowry of Blood by St. Gibson. Pretty excited. Going to start with A Dowry because I just finished the first law. Awesome, but need an in-between. Yeah. That sounds like a good idea. I like that plan. I'm trying to get a head start on the Herkiad books, reading books within 60 days of publication challenge. So reading the Book of Records by Madeline Thien, published on May 20th. Nice. That's a good idea to do it that way. Yeah, I need to read House of Beth. That was also an option for this morning, but it's on my Kobo, which is in the bedroom, and Curtis is not awake yet. So it is not happening. Also, I thought about editing during this, but my laptop's also in there, so purely unprepared. Hello. Hi. Oh, yay. Excited for my first live sprints. Hoping to finish 2 Twisted Crowns today. Yay. Oh, I always love when people are able to finish books in a reading sprint or start books. Those are the most exciting ones. My Friends is a strong contender for my best book of the year. Definitely top 3 so far. Okay, yay. I'm glad that we have like opinions on Frederick Bach, but I'm in such like this weird space thinking about his writing right now. And I know I want to redo my entire video talking about all of his books. Because it's been 5 years since the last one that I made, which is so wild to think about. But I'm like still sorting out my thoughts. I feel like I can talk a lot more intelligently about a lot of his writing style and like writing choices now than I could at the time. But there's still things I want to like think through, if that makes sense. But also that's like such a mark of a good author. He's so unique in his writing that like you can think about just the idea of his writing for so long, which is really cool. There's a lot of talk that the Book of Records will be on the Booker long list. Ooh, okay. I have not started down the rabbit hole of Booker predictions. I've started seeing them and saving them, but I haven't been like looking at them. I don't know if another Bachman book could ever top the Beartown series for me. I miss those characters. I loved Beartown. That's one of my favorites of his. The sequels I didn't love as much. And in fact, sometimes I wish it was literally just Beartown, which I feel like is a super unpopular opinion. I still liked the other ones, but I just loved Beartown so much that I just wanted it to all be that, if that makes sense. All the Water in the World is a dystopian novel. Oh, published this year, but I don't get the hype. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's the one you DNF'd. Okay, then I probably won't look into it further unless it just happens upon me, unless it's presented before me. Hi, welcome in. Just finished Turtles All the Way Down. Now thinking about what to pick up next. That is a John Green that I have not read. Although I did kind of just stop reading his fiction books. So at a certain point. I'm starting The Eights by Joanna Miller. Nice. Death of the Author was really good. Yeah, I need to read that one. You articulated that so well. This is my first Bachman and felt a disconnect with this writing. Okay, good. I'm glad that it made sense, honestly. I think that if you can get like more used to it as you're reading, then you start to enjoy the book more and more as it goes on. At least that's my experience. I picked up 4 books yesterday, including the one I'm starting now. Love it. You sound like me. Finished Ready Player 2. Oh yeah, that's right. I think you were talking about that last time. Sometimes I think about going back and reading Ready Player 2. Especially with how much I've been liking Dungeon Crawler Carl, because there's something about reading that series that really reminds me of reading Ready Player 1, like how fast-paced it is and how like a little bit video game-ish it is. It's a lot of fun. I did choose The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin for my spin book this month. I couldn't remember if that was this month or last month, but that's awesome. Yeah, another one that I would, especially if I like this. Another one that I'd like to continue. I'm about halfway through Rebecca Pert's Stillwater, hoping to finish it today. Yay, another book to finish. I hope it will be. It's a great read, especially if you're interested in different facets of the creation of history through memory, records, myths, and stories. Ooh, I can't remember what book we were talking about, but that sounds really good. I'm in the middle of The Unbearable Lightness of Being, the History of Sexuality, and Manifestly Haraway by Donna Haraway. And I'm just reading too much theory, but that's fine. That is a lot. I saw you pause table for 2. What happened? Nothing bad. I just my hold at the library. I had to return the library book, and that one was an easy one. I had several books out from the library, and that was an easy one to just return and pick up later because I got to the end point of a story, and then I was like, okay, I'll continue reading the stories. But I was having a great time. That I think that's going to be high up on the list. Okay, that's the book I forgot what we were talking about. I found my copy of House of Leaves in a little library. Oh my gosh, that's a good find. That is a good find. I love House of Leaves. Reading new release books is my favorite challenge of Herkyed. Researching and choosing is also fun. Yes, I didn't expect to like love that part so much, but I think there's something about like giving myself permission to get excited about a new book each month. And I don't know if your parents ever did this, but when I was growing up, my parents would, there was like a time when they were like really trying to cut back on our like time that we would watch TV. And so they would get the TV guide and this is very dated. They would get the TV guide and say like, you can pick out like 2 episodes of something to like watch on weekend days. And so like going through that and deciding like what you actually want to spend your time on was just like the most fun thing. So even though I remember being like upset that I couldn't watch more TV, it also was like it really got me to focus in on like, okay, what do I really want to watch? Like what's important to me, which I feel like was good. First time joining, hopefully finishing Gifted and Talented today. Ooh, let me know what you think. I also read that one and I enjoyed it. I do want to read another book by her because I feel like that one was, it was like just over the like midway point for me, as in it's just over 3 stars. Like 3 stars is like I enjoyed a book. I probably would read the author again. So I think that I will. But when it's the first book that I read of an author, then I'm like more on the fence, if that makes sense. So, but I do, her other book that's coming out this year sounds really good. I can't remember what it's called, but I feel like it was culty. Is My Friends eligible for Booker for this year? Yeah, it should be, I think. I don't remember the exact dates, but I feel like it's pretty in the middle. But I don't think that it would. I'd be very surprised if Frederick Bachman was ever nominated for Booker, if I'm being honest. Although if there were any book of his that would get nominated, that's the one I could most see it happening for. And if he continues in like this trajectory of his writing, I could see it possibly getting to that point. But I still don't see it happening for this one. I enjoyed The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I felt a little drawn out, but it was fun. I enjoyed the premise. I preferred The Threads of Power, so I need to finish that series. Yeah. Oh, I really need to start that. My average rating is higher for nonfiction. I think it's easier for me to know what to get when picking up nonfiction book. I love looking at ratings per book type on Storygraph. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. You know what? That's probably really true with nonfictions too. I do tend to know better, like, because you know what it's going to be about. So unless it's like really poorly written, it's probably like a topic you're interested in, and you're going to enjoy it. Beartown is on my TBR. Oh, I really liked Beartown. I loved Beartown and then didn't care for the sequels. I was beat down by the end. Felt like I was a part of that miserable town. Okay, this is honestly, Michael, this is the first time I've ever seen somebody share my opinion on this. So this is very exciting. One of my 2 favorites this year was The Gentleman of Moscow. Yes. So I was thrilled when I found Rules of Civility in the thrift store last week. Both of those books are favorites of all time for me. They are both on this mug, which is all of my favorites. I mean, it doesn't encompass everything anymore because I got this like a year ago now. But I do have Rules of Civility on here, and let's see, where is it? And A Gentleman of Moscow, because I love them so very much. The ending was meant. Oh, okay. And now I'm starting the Serpent and Wings of Night. Okay, nice. They're very similar. Okay, it's good to know. Yeah, I do think I owned actually Ready Player 2 at one point, and then I decided it wasn't for me anymore. And then when I started enjoying like super fast-paced books again, then I was like, oh, maybe that was a bad decision. Oh, hi. Oh, England is sunny today. Wow. That is exciting. Cute cat. Thank you. Yeah, we are joined today by Klaus and by Scout. Oh, she heard us. But yeah, we've got 2 of the cats today, and Zuko is somewhere. he's our most independent. But he does usually come in at one point during the stream and like needs attention immediately. I've basically not read a Bachman yet. I did read one of his novellas, but I feel like I'll just be swept away in an obsession when I do try his works. Yeah, I do think that's definitely what happened to me when I first started his books. I read all of them in order, except the novellas. I think I read out of order. But yeah, oh my gosh, one of those absolutely wrecked me. Oh. This is also my first Olivia Blake. I have about 150 pages left so far, and it's pretty mid 3-star right now for me too. I like the writing, but this feels a bit slow currently. Yeah, that's about how I felt. I do think that I finished it pretty quickly, like once I got close to the end. So hopefully you're getting close to that. Oh, also hoping to finish Gifted and Talented today. Nice. I heard that My Friends will be his last book. Yeah, he said that about Beartown too. He said that about The Winners when I saw him speaking in public. I have a feeling he's going to take a break for a while and then he's going to come back. If I think he just like needs time away to like enjoy writing again, or to like really feel like there's a story that he wants to tell. That's my opinion. Obviously, he could do whatever he wants. But I remember I went and saw him talk for When the Winners came out, and he said the same thing. He also said he would never tour in the US again, and he did that again this year, which I feel like he shouldn't. He doesn't like touring, and he talks about it while he's touring. I've never felt such conflicted feelings while at an author thing. I was just like, oh, like you don't have to do this for us. Like, and we are more than content just reading your books. And did you see that there's a new Mark C. Danielewski? It's a brick and I'm scared. Yes, I did see that. I House of Leaves feels so specific to me that I can't imagine. It's like a book that I don't even like associate with the author. And maybe it's because it's the only thing I've read by him, but it feels so uniquely itself that I can't imagine reading another book by the same author, but I do kind of want to. Oh yeah, I believe he's been talking about this on his Instagram. But yeah, well, we'll see. I think he'll at least take a break for a while, which is fair. And honestly, authors should take breaks. I'm reading. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. I'm reading Notes on a Scandal. Sometimes I like skip the hi in my mind. And my is it daughter Avery instead of is next to me reading. Oh yes, my daughter Avery. Yeah, is next to me reading a book from the Nevermore series. Her first reading sprint. Nice. Oh, I always hear really great things about Nevermore, and I always recommend it to my friends that have kids because I know that other friends that have kids say great things about it. England's actually been sunny for 5 or 6 days, but it's too hot. Yeah, and I feel like you all are not set up for heat. Like my gut reaction coming from Florida is to be like, what's hot? But also like in Florida, we were very set up. Like our ACs all worked great. Like we have ceiling fans in every room, It's been decently hot here, but not bad. It does not feel anything like the heat in Florida though. Oh, just like, like hot breath on your face all the time. My son is joining reading sprints today too. Nice. Has a graphic novel to read. Awesome. Hey Nadim, morning. Hi. Yay, I feel like there's a lot of new faces today. I'm about to start Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Ooh, one day I'm going to try something else by Sarah J. Maas besides the series that I did. And actually, I do think Throne of Glass would be a good try. I agree. I definitely can't do another House of Leaves. Yeah, I loved House of Leaves, and I also agree with you. I'm reading Assassin's Apprentice at the minute, and the UK is crazy hot. It's gross and close. Yeah. I mean, Assassin's Apprentice, exciting. I love hearing people starting the world of Robin Hobb. Assassin's Apprentice was the only one I think that was under a 4-star for me. And then after that, it just like got going. But that's more of a me thing, I think, because I don't typically love reading books that are from kids' perspectives. And he's so young for a while in that book. I saw Kristen Hanna just sent her new book to her editor. Wow, she is fast. She seems so quick. I feel like there's always a Kristen Hanna book coming out. What is AC again? Overheated European here. Yeah, I don't know how y'all do it. Because the AC makes all the difference. My car only has AC that works for 10 minutes. And there's like a leak in it somewhere. I don't know. But since I live in Colorado now, I'm like, I don't really feel like fixing it. Like I don't drive that much, especially longer than like 10 minutes away. And it's just for a couple months of the year that I would need it for. And that's so expensive. House of Leaves was 5 stars, but I never want to read it again. And I'm definitely happy about not reading anything else by him. Do I have House of Leaves on here? I don't, but I wouldn't have. No, I do. I do. Oh my gosh. We're talking about so many books that are on my mug. That's so exciting. House of Leaves is sitting on my shelf. I'm so excited, but also terrified. Yeah, it is. That is a good feeling to feel about the book. That is how you should feel going into that book. But I actually had like a wonderful time. I'm loving the character so far. He starts out very young, but I feel like the age progression is done well. Yes. Yeah, and also knowing him at that age makes the later so much better. So I'm glad that it started out that way, even though for me personally, it was a harder start. I'm so glad it did start that way. What is the weather condition in Florida? Is it raining? I don't actually know because I live in Colorado now, which is wonderful. I wouldn't be surprised if it was raining. Actually, no, it's probably not late enough to be raining just yet. Florida this time of year typically gets thunderstorms every day at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's what it's like in Florida. Probably it's probably like oppressively hot right now and muggy and like as in humid. And then at 5 o'clock it'll rain, and you would think that that would take the humidity out of the air, but jokes on you, it makes it worse. Well, it just tends to only ever be this warm for here for like 2 weeks max, so we normally don't need it. Yeah, that I mean it makes sense. House of Leaves will be my 700 plus book for her kid too. Yay! Oh, exciting. 39 degrees Celsius lately. Oof. And no AC, of course. Yeah, doing it with no AC, right. Yeah, it's a big book, but I always felt propelled to read it. I never felt like I didn't want to be reading it while I was reading it. Um, so but it still went by slowly for me. It's not like it went by quickly, but I think that's just because like the footnotes and everything. Okay. We've been chatting for a while. We should sprint. I've been live for 40 minutes and we haven't sprinted. I'm not used to having more people here, but I'm so happy about it, honestly. Okay. So let me get my screen share going to get the timer up. Okay. And let me fix the background. Boop. There we go. Lovely. Surprisingly, yes. Oh, this isn't the setup that I like. Where is it? There we go. I was like, why am I so tiny? Yeah. Just another super sweaty person from the UK. It's my first sprint here, going to try to finish my graphic novel adaptation for her kid. Nice. Which one are you going with? I might see your response when we start when we finish the next sprint, but let me know. And then I'll look at that first when we break. Okay. It's time to sprint. I think I'm gonna attempt Arthur Pym from the Edgar Allan Poe book and see how that goes. But I might switch to the Spanish Love Deception if I'm not feeling it. Okay, happy reading, everyone. Okay, how did everybody's reading go? I made it through a chapter of Arthur Pym and I wasn't feeling it. It's not even like not a lot happened because I feel like that is a common thing for Edgar Allan Poe. Even like his short stories, they sometimes they start so slow and then it's like the last half or even like the last quarter is like all of the actual stuff that like you remember for a long time after. So I was a little bit worried about reading like a novel of his. But the first chapter did have quite a bit happening, but once it happened, you then heard about it from like every perspective of the different people, but still through the narrative of Arthur, who was unconscious for it. But is like relaying the stories that other people told him. So like it was kind of like this anticlimax where it like built up and then like a big thing happened, but like you know he's okay already, and then he's like telling you from everybody else's perspective, and that's like the whole first chapter. And so that I was struggling with, and I think just like the sheer page size and number of words on the page were really making me sleepy. So I did switch over to the Spanish Love Deception, and I'm enjoying it again so far. So I think that'll be a better one to keep going with, although I might do some work too, like editing work, not like work, more planning video. I don't think I want to edit right now. I guess I'll be cooking and listening to The Shadow Cabinet in this one. Nice. I hope that went well. Have you decided if you'll bring your version of Herkiad to Storygraph? I haven't decided. I think I'd like to at least try. I don't know how well it's going to like convert itself into Storygraph, but I do really like the idea of knowing overall how many books I have to read for like the full thing and how many books I've read so far for it. You know, like I think that would be very satisfying. And I think it'd be cool to like at the end of those videos, like plug those in and be like, okay, like this is a percentage I am done with like the challenges as a whole. I think that'd be pretty cool. Okay, your graphic novel, it's Beg. I just combined Beth and Meg. It's Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. Okay, the retelling of Little Women. Oh, I hope you're enjoying it. I haven't read. Well, I think I did read Little Women like a long time ago, but I barely remember it. But I do want to read it again. I have it on my TBR, but I haven't read it yet. But how's the graphic novel? I hope that it went well. I had lunch and then read 30 more pages. Nice. I don't know if The Devils is actually about anything, but it sure is entertaining. Got through a couple of chapters. Okay. I would take that. About 30 pages read, 2 stories, and started title story, She is Haunted. Nice. You've been all about the short stories lately, I feel like, or like the story collections. Got about 30 pages down and have a 20 left. Fell asleep for a second there. Honestly, yeah. The Poe story. It's crazy because it's like describing like a big thing that happened, and I'm sitting there like with my eyelids like just can't. But now I know. Finish my next book club book. Next, I have to make dinner. Nice. Oh, I'm glad that you were able to finish. This is my June pick. Oh, I was still picking at it. Got it. Hope to finish today. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Just done cooking. Yay. I finished a section of my buddy read, listened to my buddy's notes, and then left my own notes. So not loads read, but a good accomplishment. Yes. That, you know, I always have to remind myself that that is like actively a part of doing a buddy read is like having the time to update and to also listen to other updates. Because I always feel like, oh, buddy reads take me so long to read. But I think that's why. It's just because there's like those moments of like pausing. I don't know if I want to know how many books I have left to read in Herkiad. Yeah, somebody was very kind and they left a comment that was like this is the number of books that you would have to read for Herkiad total, like the smallest amount of books. So that being like in the series Stairway, the like long series that you do is just a 4-book series, not like any longer, that kind of stuff. And then he even had like the this is how many books you would have to read per month, and like all of like in order to hit that, like you're on track so far, since I'm doing like 15 months basically instead of a year. And like looking at all of that, like part of me was like, oh yay, I'm on track. And then part of me was like, oh goodness, it's gonna be a lot. Like this is a long journey that we're on. And I worry that like after the beginning, it won't be so easy to like fit books into multiple prompts all the time, or like right now I feel like I could pick any book from my bookshelf and fit it into at least 2 prompts somewhere, but at a certain point that's not going to be the case. So yeah, that's why I really liked the idea of like for July doing the wheel and kind of tackling those ones that are a little bit more or tackling the ones that I might not like initially go for right away. Like reading The Left Hand of Darkness. I didn't have any book that would fit that prompt, but now I do, and now I'll be reading that one. And so that's like one that I would have had to figure out at some point that now I'm figuring out now. The original Herkyet is on Storygraph too. Maybe you can look up how it's set up for inspiration. Yeah, I did look at that one because I actually was using it, which I don't think I have since like the first month that I did it. But there are some that were, which I'm not sure if there were like, there was probably a specific reason why she did it this way. But there were some that were like considered optional prompts that didn't seem like they should be optional prompts. So then the percentage wasn't accurate. But I do think that it does make sense to do like, alphabet challenge A, alphabet challenge B, alphabet challenge C, and have like each of those be a prompt so that like you can have all of those. But then there were some that I wasn't quite sure why they were considered optional, because then like your percentage just isn't accurate, which I didn't like, which I think is why I only did it for that 1 month. 6% of the Shadow Cabinet. Great job. I don't even know percentage wise. What page am I on? Like 30 of the Spanish Love Deception. And then I think I only read like, I don't know, maybe 8 pages of Arthur Pym. But that's because like it is just blocks of text, and they are large pages. This is why I think you only read short story collections, or why you read so many of them, because we obviously are always talking for TBR Spin. Most of my TBR Spins are short stories / essay collections. That is a good way to do it, because I do feel like I don't always make the time for those, but also I don't think I could have done it this year because for the beginning of the year, I was so not about short story collections. And now I feel like I'm just coming back around for it, which is good because there's probably going to be at least one that's nominated for Booker. But I do really want to finish reading the Amor Towles short story collection once it comes back from the library. So that'd be cool if I could also do that before Booker, but we'll see. We'll see what the library has in store for me. Hi from America to Canada. Thank you for joining. Little Women is a perfect cozy read for winter. I feel, yes, that's what people said. Their graphic novel is contemporary, and I would say it's definitely aimed at a teen / middle grade, but I'm enjoying it. Nice. Yeah, I think last year I was trying to figure out when to read. Oh no, I think last year Little Women is on my 24 books to read in 2024 list that I just entirely ignored after I made it. That's why this year I had to have the rule of like, if I don't read the books on this list, like they're getting out of here. They're leaving. And they do have a very specific place on my bookshelf. And honestly, I'm doing a pretty good job. I feel like I'm doing an okay job with that. Am I halfway through? I might be just under halfway through, but that's not terrible. It's okay. I'll get there. It really helped that I made that I made it so that all of my books on TBR Spin were also on my 25 books to read in 2025 list. I feel like that just gives me like enough motivation to be like, okay, it's moving, and then I just need to also pick up these other books. I haven't doubled up on my Herkyet prompts yet, and it is currently at 1%. Oh no. Well, hopefully you'll double up on it, and then it'll be at 2%. Yes, I've used the Storygraph original Herkyet to check off while I do 2.0 as I'm trying to combine them. Nice. That's a really kind comment, but I don't think I wanna know. I know I was so torn because I was like, "This is so great that you did all this work, and now I know how many books I should be reading for it," and then which is good, and I should know that. And I do think it helped me last month because I was, like, under and I was like, "You know what? I could just, like, finish Tom Lake, and I could, read Heartstopper, like, the next Heartstopper book," which I did, and then I ended up reading the final Heartstopper book that's out currently, because I just had so much fun reading the first one, so that really helped with my reading. Um, but, like, just knowing and being like, "Okay, I should, like, read a couple more this month, and then that'll put me in a better spot for later." Yay! I finished my TBR spin book today. Great job. I'm not touching her kid. Fair. I do like that there's some people that are like, "Oh, like, I watched your video, and now I really wanna do her kid," and then there's other people that are like, "I'm loving watching your video. I don't wanna do her kid, though." Which is great because I feel like there are a lot of challenges where I also have to do that for. Like, the women's prize, I always wanna read the women's prize, but I feel like I can't do more than 1 prize a year. It's just it's too much for me. 'Cause I'm such an all or nothing person that, like, I either have to read all of them or, like, I'm not gonna read any of them. Or sometimes I can convince myself, like, "Just do the short list of this thing." But if I do one more prize other than Booker, I'm just gonna only do prizes because I've fallen into that before too, which I think is why my TBR got so out of hand. But now I watch, like, other people do the women's prize, and then I let those thoughts linger of, like, the books that are nominated I hear great things about. I read 12 pages of It by Stephen King. I'm on page 445. Wow. I don't know how you guys managed to read like 30 to 40 pages in 40 minutes. I I am also actually, typically, I do read like 30 pages, I think, in the 40 minutes. Although it does really depend on the book, because It by Stephen King, especially depending on what copy you're reading, like some of those are like this size, and that's a lot. That's a lot of text on a page. So I think that that really depends. Like this book, I'm gonna be able to read like a lot more pages at a time than I could in like this book. But man, when I read Infinite Jest during these, I feel like the world's slowest reader. Oh, I was gonna try It for her kid, but I'm super intimidated by it. I do really want to read It, but I still have, I think, two King books that I haven't read yet that are on my TBR, and I'm trying to be better about not getting several books from the same author before I've read the ones I have. I do have a problem when it comes to used books though. When I find a book at the used bookstore that I know I want to read, then I tend to that's when I tend to end up, because I have a lot from Leanne Moriarty, who's the author of Big Little Lies, which I've only read one book by her, but I had such a great experience with it, and I don't know if it's because I read it on vacation or if it's because I really like her writing. But I read 9 Perfect Strangers by her, and I just enjoyed being in it. And now I have 3 books by her that I haven't read yet. I should really get on that. And since I'm listening, it is easier to speak in percentages for me. Oh, yeah, yeah. That is usually what I do for audiobooks as well, and ebooks a lot of the time. I was super intimidated too, but to be honest, if you take your time with it, it's such a good book, so much more than just a horror. Nice. Yeah, I've enjoyed, I was gonna say most of Stephen King's, but have I? Is that actually the truth? I've read Under the Dome, which I loved by him. That was my first Stephen King, oddly. I feel like that's a weird first pick. I read The Shining, which I liked quite a bit. I read The Stand, which was like some parts were great. I shouldn't have read the extended version that he published like 10 years later that added back in 400 pages that his editor cut. His editor was right the first time. Those pages should have been cut. I think I could have enjoyed it more if I did like the regular, like just under 1,000 page book version of it. But instead I did like a 1,200 page version of it. It was ridiculous. The Green Mile I did not like hardly at all. And then the only other one that I read by him was The Dark Tower, I think. Is that the first book of that series? And it was not for me. So I decided not to read the series at all. I totally get why her kid is complicated to set up on Storygraph, so before stressing you out, you shouldn't bother. I have a feeling it's gonna be one of those things where, like, when I wanna ignore doing something else, like, that's the thing I'm gonna, like, deep dive into. Because I do the same thing for my, like, book spreadsheet. I don't update it all the time, but I'll always update it when I'm like, oh, I don't wanna think about this other thing that I have to do, so I'm just gonna, like, open up this spreadsheet and work and, like, look at the stats and things like that. It feels like one of those tasks. So I have a feeling I will do it, but it'll just be, like, when I'm in one of those moods. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the Rocky Mountain National Park, which I still don't think I've technically been inside of, even though I've been, like, just outside of it many times. Um, but there's so much hiking here. Like, you don't even have to get in the park to do it. I would not recommend it, but then I'm definitely not a King fan. Yeah, I feel very mixed on him, and I can never decide. The Shining is my favorite King. Yeah, I liked The Shining. I didn't love the movie. But I also don't I'm not a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, so I think that that's why. Um, but did Stephen King like that movie? I can't remember anymore. Um, it was cool. It's cool that I can go to the hotel, it's very close to me, uh, that it was set at, so I feel like I should do that. I'd like to try his son's book called Horns. It sounds good. Ooh, I'll have to look into that. Carrie is my favorite and my first. Yeah, I don't think what books do I have? I know I have Misery. And then I have like something. Oh, I have Pet Cemetery too. Oh, I have 3 books. And I have like The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, I think it's called. So I have 3 King books that I haven't read yet. I once again blame used bookstores. But I haven't read Carrie yet, and I do want to because I think that Mike Flanagan is doing an adaptation of Carrie, a movie version, and I love his stuff. So I do want to read it before that. I will hopefully finish Ward D by Frida McFadden and some cleaning. Nice. I just found my first Frida McFadden, so I'll get to that eventually. It's not even technically on my TBR yet because I have a new rule for myself, which I need to make a video about at some point, but I don't know when I'm going to do it because I have a very specific TBR for this month. And then the Booker books are going to be announced, I think, on like the 29th of this month. So I'll probably just be all in that. And then after that, I'll address wherever my TBR is at. I tried Gunslinger like 3 times and never worked. Yeah, Gunslinger, that's what it is. Yeah. There was like, even in the foreword, he was like, yeah, I always talk about rewriting the first book of this series or the first 2 books of the series, and I'm going to do it one day. And like that, the edition I was reading was like already 10 years old. And I was like, okay, so are you going to do it or no? Because it sounds like I don't even want to try. Yeah, The Shining was good. Oh, the ending was so good. Misery is so good. You should give it a shot. Yes, I definitely will. It's also on my 100 books bucket list poster, which is why I got it originally. I think that if any, unless I get and read Carrie first, Misery will be my next Stephen King book that I read. I just don't know when. There's a huge trigger in it that completely ruined it for me, and then it was also just way too long. Yeah, a lot of his books. Let's be real. A lot. Even the books I like by him are too long. Like he needs to pare it down a little. I went to the Stanley Hotel in Colorado a couple of years ago, and it's definitely worth the trip. Oh, nice. Yeah, I do want to go. It looks so cool. I think it'd be fun to go there. And I also think it'd be fun to just like read books there, just like hang out there and read books. I don't know if I want to do thrillers. Maybe I'll do like one Stephen King and then like other stuff. Hi, Danny. Welcome. If someone who is kind of a scaredy cat but wanted to get into horror read a Stephen King book, what book would that be? Ooh, that is a good question. I don't I don't think his books are really that scary. I think it's more scary in like the sense of other humans and like what they're capable of. I wouldn't pick The Stand. I do think that has some scenes in it that were like that actually had me. I don't know. I'm curious to see what other people would say for that. It's been a long time since I've read Under the Dome, so I'm nervous about saying that. But I was also, I would say, a scaredy cat when I read it, and it is my favorite of his. So
there's that. Also, I think he tends to jump perspectives a lot, which I think helps in the scared factor because you know that like by the end of this chapter, like I'll probably be somewhere else in the story, which I think helps. Whereas like when you're reading a Riley Sager, who I don't think is like intensely scary or anything, but is I would say like the next level up. Um, he'll have some moments that'll like get your heart like rate, or maybe it's more like suspense. Like he adds more suspense in it, and I don't think that Stephen King like really does that suspense as much. But the other people in the story can be scary and like what they do and that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. I read The Gunslinger and Carrie and disliked both, so I don't think I'm going to read other King books. Yeah, that's fair. I think there was a moment when I was like, I'm gonna read all the Stephen King books, which is why I got Gunslinger. And I've since passed that moment. I am way past that. So there's still Stephen King books that I want to read, but I definitely am no longer one of those people that like wants to collect and read them all. Personally, I don't think they're all that scary though. Yeah, I would agree with that. At least for the ones that I've read. I don't like The Green Mile isn't scary, but there are hard scenes to read. But I wouldn't call them scary. I would call them like depressing. um, but I also wouldn't recommend that one because I didn't like it. It was written to be like a serial that was published. So it was published in 6 different parts. But I think that it got like such high acclaim because they made it into a movie with Tom Hanks that did really well. Also, didn't love the movie. I'm assuming Later is the name of a book, but I actually don't know that one at all. Oh, 11/22/63 one is definitely not scary, though the length might be. That is a time travel one. Yeah, I do really want to read that. I hear such good things about that one. I feel like of all of his books, probably Misery and that one I hear the best things about. And The Shining, obviously. Carrie was quite short and the only one I have read. It was not what I expected. It was kind of a series of evidence like news reports. Oh, etc. So if you like that kind of style, you might be into it. Ooh, those are very hit or miss for me. But I'm still going to try it probably, but mostly for Mike Flanagan. And also I feel like it's a classic. I probably would have picked it up eventually anyways, but I'm more incentivized right now because of Mike Flanagan. Okay. I think I'm going to start this next one. So I think I'm going to read maybe like another chapter of this, and then I might go grab my laptop and do some YouTube stuff. Because I need to like figure out what footage I have for Her Kid episode 3, my June update. Figure that out and then figure out what I need to go over in like my sit down portion of that video. Because it's way easier when I do that. The first time I just filmed the sit down portion. I was like, I'm just going to talk about all the books I read, but it's actually way easier for me seeing the footage that I have and then like going back. And it also helps me remember what I was thinking and stuff and what all the books are about. Some of them, if they feel like I've read them forever ago. I would agree that King is more depressing than scary. Okay. I was like, is this just a me thing? That's good to hear. Although it can be quite scary in parts. I could see that one feels just based off like the trailer that I saw for the movie or like things like that. I feel like that one gives off a more like meant to be scary, unsettling vibe than like some of his others. Misery was very mediocre for me, though I watched the movie first, so I think I just like that more. Ooh, okay, good to know. I do think I'll probably watch the movie after I read the book. The Body is also by Stephen King. That's a novella. Again, more depressing than scary. I wouldn't call that one scary at all. But that's the movie Stand By Me was based off of that. If there was a full-length novel of Shawshank Redemption, I might still try that. Yeah, because was that a novella that he did? Maybe I'll give him one more chance in October. That's always what I do. I feel like October is my Stephen King time, but I haven't read one in I think because was the last one I read was The Green Mile. So that's probably why. Because of it, I thought all of his books are scary. I think he's got the reputation of being like the thriller author, but I don't think that his books are actually, I think it's just because of the ones that have gotten huge, like it. So I do think that that is a very understandable perception to have. And it actually wasn't until you asked that I started thinking like, wait, are his books scary? I do think that The Stand can be, because that's like zombie apocalypse type deal. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of other books that I've read that I would consider scarier than Stephen King. But definitely some depressing. If you're somebody that is concerned about trigger warnings, I would always look up the trigger warnings for his books because he definitely touches on some topics that could be triggering for some people. So, but yeah, I would say that most of his stuff is more is more depressing than scary. Um, and sometimes a little bit gory. So if you have a hard time with gore, that can be a factor as well. Because sometimes I struggle with that, and there are some scenes that I think Stephen King has lost some of his impact with his recent books. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that he had such a moment, and then it's kind of like dying down. And there are some people that still like every year are gonna pick up the Stephen King book, but I don't think that it's a large portion of like the book community that is growing right now, or it has been for the past few years. Like some people are still super into it, but I think most people that are reading Stephen King from there are reading his older stuff. They're not reading his new stuff, like me. Um, as in, I'm reading his older stuff, not his new stuff. He's definitely not getting many more movie adaptations, it seems like. Yeah, I'm trying to think what his last one would have been. Are they? I don't think they're doing Doctor Sleep. Are they? Or did they? They might have done it. I don't know. Under the Dome became a TV show, which is why I ended up reading the book. That was why that was my first Stephen King, was because I watched the TV show. I got distracted copying some new books from Kobo over into my Kindle. Totally fine. Though I think one of his more recent ones is becoming a series, right? I could see that. I don't know. I have not kept up very well. I feel like the one time that I see what book he's published, it's because I'm in an airport. Then I'm like, oh, that must be the new Stephen King novel. I guess sometimes when I look up the like new releases for the year, like when I did that to make my video this year, for early this year, I saw whatever book it was, but I forgot. Oh, The Institute. That was one that was actually one of his more recent releases, which at this point I think it's a bit older now, but for him it's recent because he's been publishing for so long. um, but that one I remember wanting to read, but I think just because the cover was very uh it was just a good cover. It's just like the kid on a train. I don't know. There's something about that cover that like made me really want to read it, but every time I would read the synopsis, I would be like, meh, I don't know. But I might try at some point. It is a great read. I love King. Great author. I'm planning to read Fairy Tale in August. I haven't even heard of that one. I'll have to look into that. Or you'll have to let us know what you think. Okay, let's go ahead and do another reading sprint. I already said what I'm doing. Okay, yeah. Happy reading, everyone.
Okay, that is it for our second reading sprint. Klaus joined me for that. Okay, he's coming back. He's being very distracting, which is fine because I finished what I want. Actually, I ended up going a little bit further in the Spanish Love Deception because I was having too much fun, which is great. Great news. I think that this is going to be a solid like next book. I still think that I'll probably focus on the Kite Runner when this is over. Which if you weren't here earlier, I basically decided I didn't want to read it on stream because it's a lot. But I'm a third of the way through it now, and I am enjoying it. But this is a much more fun stream book. Also, the scene that I just read through was great. This author is doing such a great job of like being in that like romantic comedy space where it is still a comedy. It's not just a romance novel, which is really great because I feel like not a lot of authors like really hit that like well. I feel like it's typically like super leaning one way. And so yeah, I'm having fun with that. And she's doing it in a way that's not like eye rolly, which there was an author that I feel like was really trying for that I read once. I ended up DNFing the book. I actually can't even remember what it's called now. It'd take me a minute to look up, but I couldn't with the humor in that one. It just not great. Okay. Oh, I think this is about Fairy Tale. Great. Yes. I DNF'd Fairy Tale. The start was great though. Oh, I'm sure Ron's left since that was, I think, before we started the sprint. But if for some reason you haven't, bye. Hello, welcome in. Hi, Miranda. Thanks for joining. I'm in the middle of the final story of my book. Yay! Exciting stuff. Read about 60 more pages. Nice. Of Gifted and Talented. The end is definitely going quicker than the beginning. Should be able to finish in the next sprint. Awesome. Oh, that's great. Hi. Oh, first time joining. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. We have a few first time sprinters today, so it's exciting. And 25 pages of the eights about the first woman, about some of the first women to get an official Oxford degree. Okay, got it. Oh, that does sound good. Is it a novel or is it nonfiction? Just read 3 chapters of a different buddy read. I can't finish my next Her Kid update until I've actually finished some books. Yeah, I get that. I was just putting together like I just started like as Klaus came over and as this sprint was ending, putting together like what order I read the books in because I really messed up my story graph last month. Everything's out of order, so I'm trying to figure out like remember what the actual order is. Luckily, because I film things, that helps a lot to figure out when I did what. Or even sometimes like just I take a picture of a book with the intention of posting it, whether or not I actually do. I'm multitasking, but right at the beginning of Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Is that one of the Throne of Glass series? Or is that one of the, what is the giant ones? Crescent Kingdom series. Those are, besides ACOTAR, those are all her series, right? She's got 3. And I know it's not one of the ACOTARs because that's the one that I've read with the exception of the most recent publish. Was thinking during the sprint about a book I read last week that I think you'd love, All the Water in the World, dystopian. I think it wasn't, I think Amelia was just talking about this one. Dystopian, sad but hopeful, so well written and perfectly paced, hasn't gotten enough hype. That is so funny. I think Amelia DNF'd that one. Amelia, let me know if that's the one that you were talking about. But that wouldn't be funny to have like both perspectives on this one. I do love a dystopian. Also, I do love a sad but hopeful dystopian. That is like the perfect description of men who have never known men. Oh, yay, I finished my graphic novel. Great job. Okay, The Eights is a novel. Ooh, it does sound good. I'm loving the interbellum time period. Oh, yeah, I haven't read much set during that time period. I've only read one other book set then. Yeah, I should explore more with that. Yes, Throne of Glass, number 3. Okay. Are you liking the Throne of Glass series? I think we have somebody else who's just about to start it or is starting it in these sprints. And then also, I never know. I feel like there's two schools of thought because that's the one that has the prequel, right? Where some people are like, start with a prequel, and some people are like, don't start with a prequel. I know now I need to see as soon as I see like 2 different opinions about a book, I'm like, well, I gotta read it because I have to know what I think. We're all different readers. Yes, definitely. Might have to try it. Finished Atmosphere this week. Loved it. Read Read Along the Staircase in the Woods. Okay. Do I want to read Atmosphere? I don't know. I read a lot of Taylor Jenkins Reid's because I was going to do my big plan. My big plan was to do a video like I did with Frederick Bachman where I talk through all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. Yeah, why did that sound? It sounded weird because it sounded like I had 2 plurals, but Jenkins is yeah, okay. I was going to read all of her books and then do a video talking through from like her earliest published to her most recent, talking through all of her books. It's hard because she publishes very quickly. But I have read quite a few of her books. But I did that for Frederick Bachman. I really liked how that video turned out, although I do want to do it again because I think I could do it better. And it's been a long time. And I did it for Ruth Ware's books, which I feel like I definitely could have done better. But I just really like authors where you can see like a transition in their writing or like an evolution to their writing and what they like to write. And Taylor Jenkins Reid, you can definitely feel that. But she's so solidly like in the space that she's writing now that I don't even know if I want to do it anymore. And also I wasn't enjoying her earlier books that much. So I think that that's really what stopped me. But I have still read, I mean, of all of her books, I've read quite a few of them. And I feel like I got through most of her early stuff. And then an Atmosphere looks good. I don't know. All this to say, I can't decide if I want to read Atmosphere or not. But I keep hearing good things about it. So I feel like it keeps ticking its way into that column. I DNF Throne of Glass because the writing is rough. She was very young when she wrote it. Did you like ACOTAR? Oh, I have very mixed feelings about the series. The first book I did not like. I did not think it was very good. I think a lot of people like it and a lot of people read through it really quickly. And it was decently fast paced for being a book that I didn't like, especially the second half. But there was just, I think the characters in it, I have a really hard time with. However, I continued reading, and the second book, I really had a fun time with. I really liked that one. That's my favorite of the series. And then the third book, I liked it more than the first one, much less than the second one. And I think my big problem is Feyre. I don't really like Feyre very much, who is our protagonist. So that doesn't help. And there's not really any character. There's one that I really like of the series. And that's it. So, but it does seem like they're a bigger part now. I don't want to say who because no spoilers. But and then I know that the next, because I read the Christmas like novella. Everybody told me I shouldn't, and I shouldn't have. I didn't need to. But I did it anyways because I'm a completionist. But then the next book, like the next full book, the only book I haven't read yet from the series that is already published, is not from like Feyre is not the main character of it. So I feel like there's a better chance that I could like it. And I'm sure that her writing evolved over writing the book and everything. But yeah. So those are my feelings on ACOTAR. Yep. It took me a while to get into. Number one is slow. I liked starting with the prequel. Okay, cool. But big twist / reveal in number 2, and now I'm hooked. Okay, good to know. I do think that the premise of it is probably more up my alley than ACOTAR is. I just had a friend that was really into ACOTAR. And so I wanted to be super into it with her. But yeah, then I felt really bad when I really didn't like the first book, like talking to her about it. Loved ACOTAR with the exception of number 1. I get that. I can live with being wrong even if I'm not. The cat that was on my lap was Klaus. He has since left. He's no longer on my lap. he gets these moments where he like needs like so much attention, and then he gets it and he's like out of here. So he just had one of those moments. And like when he does it, he'll like, if you're not actively petting him, he'll like make biscuits on your stomach. It's very cute. But yeah, that was Klaus. That was actually, they're going to be 3 years old pretty soon, which is crazy. We got Klaus and Zuko at the same time. Zuko's the other one that's not in here. And then Scout is 15. And November she'll be 16, which is crazy. I was just talking about that yesterday. The best book club discussions are if some people love and other people hate the book. If everyone shares the same opinion, it's so boring. Yes, I agree with that. I agree. Just not sure Sarah J. Maas is for me. Yeah, that's fair. I'm also not sure, even though I've read quite a few books by her. I mean, all part of the same series, so I feel like that's part of why I'm not sure. But yeah. If Nesta is the character you like, you got to read number 5. She's not, but I don't dislike her like I dislike Feyre. So that's why I'm holding out hope. And I also see the possibility of being able to like her if I could be in her perspective. Yeah. I've read all of Sarah J. Maas's work, and Throne of Glass is my favorite series of her. It does feel different being her first written, and it's technically YA, but I would say older YA. Yeah, I've heard that. But the payoff at the end is great. Okay, I do like the sound of that. Yes, the old lady cat. My black cat Faith has been very interested in her during these sprints. Oh. I love that. Klaus is the one that's most likely to like watch TV when there's something at all interesting. And so yeah, whenever we have like on the big TV, like if somebody has like their cat, especially with like booktube videos, people will oftentimes like have a pet. I figured. And she's an old lady. She sleeps a lot. But she still gets a little playful. She got playful last night. It was so funny. Whenever she gets playful now, it looks like the most hilarious thing, and she gets exhausted so quickly now. But yeah, I've had her. I got her on my 19th birthday, and she was only like 2 years old at the time. So we've been together for quite some time. She moved to Indianapolis with me, and then back to Florida, and then all the way to Colorado. I think she likes here best, but maybe I'm biased because I like it here best. Faith is adopted, but most likely also an old lady. Yeah. And I also never know, because I feel like they guess that a lot of cats are 2 years old when they just don't know. When it's like, yeah, probably about 2. So I don't technically know exactly how old she is, because they found her outside not long after, or not long before she was like brought into the shelter, and then they had her at like a pet. It wasn't a PetSmart, a pet supermarket, I think. It was like a small one though, like a small location, not one of those like big stores. They like where they have like 4 cats that they'll bring in from the shelter, at least at the one that I had. I know that a lot of them do like have a lot more cats that they have there on display from the shelter, but she was there and I fell in love with her instantly. The last book in the Throne of Glass series is one of my favorite books of all time. It's 900 pages of greatness. Ooh. Okay. I am feeling more like the possibility of reading Throne. I think part of the reason why I haven't started it is because I is because I have one book left of ACOTAR before I'm caught up in the series. And so it makes me want to do that first, but I don't have as much motivation to read that one. My brother just got a Mancoon kitten, and he's as big as my 4-year-old cats. Oh, a Mancoon kitten has got to be so cute. They're so fluffy. Always love the cat chat. Still no cuddles with mine, but I'm hopeful one day. Yeah, Scout was nearly feral. She let me cuddle her in the store, which I think was her way of being like, please take me home. I will take any attention at all right now, even if it's cuddles and I'm not super comfortable with it. So I literally just held her for like 30 minutes in that store before, and then we left her there that day, and I came back the next day to get her. Which was, so I met her on my birthday, but I adopted her the day after, which is on 11/11/11, which I think is very cute. And also Kurt Vonnegut's birthday, not of 2011, but 11/11 is his birthday. What was I saying? Oh, but yeah, she was nearly feral. Like she showed enough signs of being able to get along with humans that they like were adopting her out. And she obviously let me hold her like that whole time, but like immediately after bringing her home, she was like under the bed, gone. And it took her a long time to come around, and a long time to train her not to like scratch things. She like a lot longer to train her not to scratch things than the other cat that my parents had at the time. And we also didn't know about like how to introduce two cats to each other. Like we did it the right way when we got our two youngest cats, Zuko and Klaus. We did it the right way, introducing them to each other and then also introducing them to Scout. But I didn't know that when I got Scout to begin with, forever ago. So we didn't do that with our other cat. He was very interested in her and she was not interested in him at all. But it ended up working out. They lived together for like 2 years. But yeah, it took her a long time. And then it took her much, much longer to get comfortable around strangers. But when my friends were visiting, she was like out a lot of the time. She was hanging out. She sat on my friend's lap, which was so cute, even though she is allergic. But she had her medicine. She was doing okay. But yeah, so a Scout is like, and she continues. She gets better all the time. His cat was born in March. They grow up so fast. I know. Yeah, I was both like excited and sad every day that our like youngest, because we got them as kittens, were growing up, because like it was nice that they were growing up and learning and everything, but also they're so cute when they're little. They're not always cuddly. Faith is up for pets, but she stays on my lap for like 1 minute most of the time. Yeah, most of ours are cuddly. Klaus is like the most where he's either in the mood or he's not in the mood. But Scout, I could pet her basically anytime and she's down for it, and she'll lay on laps forever and she sleeps like here. And then the kittens aren't allowed in our room at night because they're too crazy. And I call them kittens even though they are almost 3 years old. But Scout's allowed in the bedroom at night. She was grandfathered into the system. She'd been doing that all this time, and I know she would complain if she was not. But yeah, and then Zuko really likes to snuggle, but he also likes his alone time. But he can always be talked into a snuggle, if that makes sense. Mine are 11 months old, and we are their first home. Oh, they were wild for the first 6 months. Wow, they're so scared of everything, but making tiny steps of progress. That's great. Oh, that's so nice that you adopted them too, and that they're, working on it. Yeah, I feel like it takes a long time. I love watching, or I follow a lot of Instagrams that are, like socializing cats and cats that didn't, that aren't quite feral, but like there's a glimmer of hope in them that they can, be house cats. Oh, even being able to stroke them would be amazing. Oh, I hope you get there. I believe you can. I hope they get there, I should say. My cats are a bonded pair that I adopted out of the shelter. One social, one hid in my box spring for nearly a week when I first brought them home. Oh, yeah. we found Zuko outside. And then when he was old enough to be the same age as where other cats, you were able to adopt other kittens from the shelter, because he was 5 weeks old. So we had to wait 5 weeks, because that was at 10 weeks old is when shelters typically start adopting out kittens. Because that's when they're able to be like fully weaned off and everything. And I've learned a lot of stuff. It's still really young to be adopted out, especially as a single kitten. But we had another kitten already, and they were going to be the same age. And luckily they super bonded with each other, and it's so cute. They sleep snuggling together all the time. It's adorable. Did I already say that I've started my July spin book in the last sprint? I don't think you did. I think you said that you were going to start it after the book for book club you were reading, but I don't think you said that you'd started it. Yay. Yes, it can take a long time for them to grow comfortable and to feel fully safe. Yeah, for sure. Faye's sister Buffy was like the affectionate sleep in the chest type of cat. So cute. Oh, yeah, I do love that. Although sometimes she's a little bit of a handful. Although in her old age, she now like is cool with sleeping near me more often than like needing to be on me. I could never visit you, Sarah. I would end up in the hospital. Yeah, when my friend came, because they stayed in this room, which we also, it's my office, but we also refer to it as the cat room because it's very set up to be super comfortable for cats. Like it's got the little like trundle bed in here. It's got cat beds. It's got like a cat tree in the corner, although it's moved out right now still from when they were visiting. They can get on top of my bookshelf. Like it's got the windows open all the time. So they love it in here. But when she was coming, and obviously this is also where we put the guest room. So I was like vacuuming everything, dusting everything. And then like we kept the door closed. So once I had like cleaned it out, closed the door, cats weren't allowed in, to hopefully make it as good as possible. Cause we even said beforehand, we were like, if it doesn't work out, like there's a hotel that's like a couple minutes walk from here, like 3 minutes, like very, very close. So there was an option if it didn't work out. We were really trying to make it work, and it did. She was good the whole time, and actually she said her allergies were really good here, which is great. So pretty happy that it worked out. But yeah, there are 30 cats that live here for sure. Okay, I think that this is going to be my last sprint for today. And then I always like to talk about when I'm going to sprint next in the break before the last sprint, just in case people have to head out. So let's see. I might do next weekend. I might do one next weekend, because that might be when I try to do my, if you haven't seen my my TBR video for July, I spun her kid prompts, and one of the prompts is to do a 24-hour reading challenge. And I did in fact land on it. So I think that I might try to do that next weekend on either Saturday or Sunday. I haven't picked yet. And I think it'd be fun to sprint during that day. So I might do that, but if I don't, I'm definitely going to be, I mean, either way, whether or not I sprint next weekend, I'll definitely be doing the weekend after, probably on the 27th, because that'll be the TBR spin for August. Forgot what month it was. So yeah, definitely then, maybe also next weekend. Gonna head off. Thanks for the accountability. Thank you for the accountability. This also very much helps me. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Still have to take out the garbage. Sprint's a good time to do that. That's being productive. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna work on figuring out what I have to do for the video, what I have to film for like the sit down portion, and maybe I'll read more if I get through that. But yeah, happy reading, everybody.
Okay, third sprint done, and our last sprint of the day. Well, I actually got a lot done during that. I had a minor freak out when I thought that I had lost one of my SD cards. It was the first place I looked. I just didn't look in the first place good enough. So yeah, everything's fine. But it's always so funny, like collecting all my footage because I always feel like, oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't take enough footage of me reading at different times and all that stuff. And then because I film sometimes like on my big, like my main camera that I film like all my like sit down videos on. I have my GoPro, which is usually like the little shots of me like not here, like at my co-working space or maybe like sitting outside reading. And then I also have some clips sometimes on my phone. And so then like once I take them all from the different areas and I'm like, oh, okay, I do have like clips of me reading this book and I do have clips of me reading this book, then it's like, we're fine. Ooh, got our wedding picture proofs. How do they look, Anne? Do you like them? Are you excited about them? Are you going to frame them? 76 pages into my book. Awesome. You had a very productive, I feel like you finished a book, you started a book and got like well into it. Yeah, of course. I'm glad that you all were able to join. It's been too long. 3 weeks feels like too long. Oh yes, please everybody give a like before heading out of the video. It does really help. It's been great having more and more people coming to these. And yeah, getting to like talk through all of our books and everything is wonderful. Oh yeah, and I also hope your black eye went away before the wedding. And hopefully it is completely invisible in photos. Awesome. Yay. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Finished my June book. Great job. See, you're all caught up now. Now you're in the month of the book that you need to be in the month for. 25 further pages. Nice. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad everybody had a good time. I'm glad everybody was productive. This really helped me personally because now I feel like I'm like more into a book. And I think that I needed that because also like I haven't been wanting to read like Kite Runner at nighttime, like right before I'm going to bed, because I usually like something a little bit lighter. And so now I feel like I have that book again for during that time. And then I'll probably even pick up the Kite Runner a little bit more today. Hold on, my cat just got stuck in a strap of a bag. What are you doing? Klaus got fully into just like a strap from a tote bag. What was I saying? Yeah, so that helped me. And then also getting started. I feel like it's always the hardest part to like collect everything together for a video. And then it's like, okay, this is what I have to do. And now I feel better. I feel like I say that every time I work on editing at all in this. Yay, very productive session. Awesome. Got 22 pages further. Nice. The black eye was completely gone. Yay. The ladies at church said they were praying for it to disappear. Oh, that's very sweet. Looking forward to the next print. Yeah, me too. This is really great. So hopefully next weekend, just not totally positive yet what we're doing. Summertime is definitely harder because we're more likely doing stuff over the weekends. But if not next, or whether or not we're doing next week, we are definitely doing 2 weeks from now. So, but hopefully I will also see you guys next week. Thank you again, everybody, for joining, and I will see you later. Bye.